UROP and participating in any kind of undergraduate research can help you with that. It's also a great opportunity to get involved with others and helping others and using your innovative skills and really taking what you're learning in the classroom and applying it to real world situations and real world problems, which I think is really exciting, to take what you're learning in the classroom, what you're learning in a textbook, what you're learning through class discussions, and then putting that into practice in real research situations on our campus. So a little bit about the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program, also called UROP. UROP is geared toward first and second year students and transfer students from all majors. And there are three parts to the UROP program that we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about today. So we're going to look at the colloquium, we're going to look at the research assistantship, we're also going to look at the undergraduate research symposium, and I will remind you several times during this information session that as transfer students, your UROP application will be due by July the 1st. So let's talk about this first piece of UROP. So for the colloquium, you are going to be participating in a class that will take place in the fall and in the spring. So make sure you jot down in your notes, if you're taking notes today, that being a part of UROP is a full academic year commitment. The colloquium is 1 credit. And it meets bi-weekly. So you will be meeting 8 times in the fall and 8 times in the spring, which is not too much of a huge commitment compared to like a 3 credit hour class that meets every week or even multiple times a week. So again, you'll be meeting 8 times in the fall and 8 times in the spring. For our colloquiums, the colloquiums are led by UROP leaders who have successfully completed the UROP program and who have then undergone a full semester of training in order to become a UROP leader. And your UROP leader will have potentially a similar major as you. They might even have been a transfer student themselves. And so the UROP leaders will be guiding you through your colloquium in the fall and in the spring. And some of the topics in the colloquium will include looking at different aspects of research, talking about ethics in research, talking about communicating in research. They will help prepare you for acquiring a research mentor and a research project, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. They will help you navigate any challenges you might have in communicating with your research mentor once you get in place. They will also work with you as the undergraduate research symposium approaches in the springtime, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and help you in preparing your research poster and in preparing your elevator speech. There will be transfer specific sections for colloquiums, so you will have an opportunity to be surrounded by your peers who are also transfer students, because y'all have unique needs as opposed to some of our other sections. And so this is a great way to get to know people who have a similar passion in research and who are also transfer students like yourselves. Want to make a quick note that UROP is not a class that you will be signing up to take yourself. So if you are accepted into the UROP program, we will register you for your colloquium class in the fall and also in the spring. So we will place you in your class for you. So let's also talk just a little bit about the second piece of UROP, which is your research assistantship. There are hundreds of research projects across the FSU campus and beyond. And probably within the first week or so of you starting the fall semester, we will give you access to our database, which will give you information on all of the research projects and the research mentors who have agreed to work with UROP students. And you'll be able to go through and look up those professors, read a little bit about their research that's in progress, and you'll be able to speak with them through something called our Research Mentor Roundtables, which happens very early in the fall semester. And your UROP leaders will help you get ready for the research mentor roundtables, in preparing questions that you might want to ask the potential research mentors, and in preparing maybe email introductions that you might want to put together, and even in beefing up your resume, if you want to share your resume with potential research mentors. And in also preparing for any potential interviews. Sometimes research mentors, after they meet you in the virtual roundtables, they might like to meet with you in person and talk with you a little bit more and see if you're going to be a good fit for their research project. So your leaders in your colloquium will help you prepare for those as well. So you'll be able to see all the different types of research projects that are happening and apply to the ones that you are interested in. And then you'll work back and forth through the virtual roundtable and through the interviews, and eventually get picked by one of the research mentors, and then you will be placed in their project that's already in progress. So this is one of the really cool things that I love about UROP is as a student, as an undergraduate, you're not having to come up with a research project yourself and launch it off the ground. You're able to join in with a faculty member who has already got research going in progress. So your research mentor that you'll be working with through your research project might be a faculty member, it might be a postdoc or a grad student. And sometimes we also have community organization leaders from Tallahassee and the surrounding area who also have projects going on, and they would like to work with UROP students. So there's lots of different possibilities of who you might be working with as your research mentor. Typically, our students who are in UROP are going to be doing 5 to 10 hours of research per week. You'll kind of work out the nitty-gritty of that with your research mentor when you're placed with them, as to, you know, the exact amount of hours per week that you'll be working, but typically it's between 5 and 10. So kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about your fall schedule and the classes that you'll be taking and your other commitments, thinking about clubs that you'll be involved in, sports, other activities, to make sure you have enough time in your schedule to fit this in. Once you are placed with your research mentor and you are aware of your research project, you will then be working with your research mentor to sign a research compact. And this basically allows you to talk with your research mentor about preferred communication strategies, about your schedule, about what the expectations will be for you, particularly throughout the fall semester. And then once you get all those details ironed out in your research compact, each of you will sign it. And then you'll also do another one in the springtime, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. The last piece of UROP is the Undergraduate Research Symposium. This typically happens in early spring, and this is where we've got hundreds of poster presentations from UROP students, as well as undergraduate researchers in other programs across campus, who will present their posters, talking about all the great research that they have done throughout the past academic year. You know, we typically have upwards of 500 plus posters being presented at the Undergraduate Research Symposium. The Student Union Ballroom is just completely full. It's pretty awesome. We've got different sessions that take place throughout the day. Of course, the bulk of the presenters are from UROP. And we have members of the FSU community and outside FSU that come and read the posters and hear the presentations being delivered by all the undergraduate researchers. And it's a really awesome experience. And again, if you've never done anything like this, in your colloquium, your UROP leaders will be helping you prepare to create all the different sections of your poster, and also to prepare your elevator speech. So it's a really great opportunity to practice your public speaking skills and to be able to share the great research that you've done throughout the last academic year. So I want to show you just a quick video that talks a little bit about the Undergraduate Research Symposium that we just had this past April.
We have the 24th Annual Undergraduate Research Symposium here at the Union Ballrooms, and this is an opportunity for students and majors from all over campus doing research in very diverse fields to talk about the research they've been doing over the past year.
It has literally meant the world to me. In high school, I was a part of a 3-year research program, so I knew for sure that I wanted to do research in college. And this program has been the absolute perfect entryway into that. And I am more than delighted with my experience in the UROP program.
I think research is the core of everything we're doing as a society. Every breakthrough has to have research. And I think showing undergraduate students that at a very early stage of their life, of their professional life, is extremely important so that they understand how to conduct research and if they want to conduct research going forward.
All right, so again, the three pieces of UROP are the colloquium, which is the class that you'll take in the fall and in the spring. It's 1 academic year commitment, 1 credit in the fall, 1 credit in the spring. You'll meet bi-weekly. And then you also have your research assistantship, where you'll be doing anywhere between 5 and 10 hours of research a week with your research mentor and the research project that you'll be working on. And then that last piece, again, is the undergraduate research symposium, which takes place in early spring and sort of the culmination of your UROP experience, where you get to present on the research that you have done. So, ooh, goodness. How did this slip by me? Sorry, folks. This should be, hang on. 1 second. This should be July 1st. Is it gonna let me edit? It is. Apologize. Don't want to have anyone be confused. All right, so the application deadline for our transfer students is July 1st. For the application, I want to just walk you through what it looks like. It's really not very intimidating, and it should not take you too long. I don't want you to procrastinate, but I don't want you to be intimidated either. So let me go ahead and take a look, pull that up. Nope, that's not the one I want to pull up. Here it is. Let me just move this over here. All right, so at when you open the application, it's going to give you just a little bit of information that repeats some of the things that I've said in this information session today, but again, reminds you about the colloquium, reminds you about the research assistantship, and reminds you about the undergraduate research symposium. And then it's going to ask you your name and your FSU email. Going to ask you to read through a couple of things and check off the different areas that describe you as a student. It's going to ask you how you heard about UROP. That's important to us because we're trying to get the word out, particularly to our transfer students, about who we are and to get more transfer students to apply. And then as you move through the application, it'll ask you your admissions ID, your primary major, your secondary major, if you have one, and your minor. It's going to ask you some transfer information if you're working on or planning to complete an honors thesis at FSU. It's going to ask you some questions about federal work study. Federal work study, just for a quick explanation, if you meet certain criteria, which the financial aid office will help us know if you meet that criteria or not. You can get paid for the research that you're doing as a part of UROP. So it's a possibility for some folks. And so we will check with the financial aid office to see if you are eligible. We'll also ask you some questions about other aspects to help us learn a little bit more about you. If you're a first-gen college student, if you are a global scholar, some of these other things, if you have some different scholarships that we'd like to know about. So check off any of these that apply to you. So far, all of those things are pretty quick. And then we're going to ask you some questions about what section you might be interested in, but we're going to place you in a transfer section, so you can kind of disregard that. And then this last piece, we just have a couple of questions for you. They're not really essay questions per se, because you can only have up to 150 words. So I would call these short answer. But the first question is going to ask you, what do you hope to gain from participating in UROP? What previous academic or professional experiences do you have that helped you prepare for engaging in research? And we just have a little note there that it's really okay if you haven't done any previous research. We really view UROP as the gateway into research, as the entry level into the research experience. So it's okay if you don't have any research experience. And then we're going to ask you another question about your time management and your communication. So asking you a little bit about how you approach time management and communication in an academic and/or professional setting, and particularly how you've been able to successfully utilize these skills in a challenging situation. And then after that, just make sure to save and submit your response. And you will get an automated message back from us letting us know your application has been successfully completed. I will say for these questions, please take the time to be specific as you can. I think it's really important to try to make yourselves stand out. We're reading hundreds and hundreds of UROP applications. So, the question about time management and communication, if you tell us that you use Google Calendar to keep yourself organized, well, you can imagine we probably read several hundred other applications that also say they use Google Calendar. So really think of how you can make yourself stand out and just try to be specific. Just help us kind of picture who you are in these brief short answer questions. I think that would be my biggest tip to you. All right, so a couple of other benefits of participating in UROP that I wanted to touch on. First of all, you can, if you are interested, you can get volunteer hours for working in UROP for your research project, which is really great. We have something here at FSU called ServScript, and you can record all your hours, and then your volunteer hours will actually show up on your transcript, which is great. And it'll be helpful for you when you are applying to different scholarships or fellowships, or when you are looking at different opportunities after graduation as well. Alternatively, if you don't go the route of volunteer hours and you are eligible, you could do federal work study and get paid for your research experience. I should stress that you cannot do both. So you cannot get volunteer hours on your ServScript and also do federal work study. You would have to pick one or the other. And then you also will get formative experience through participating in the UROP colloquiums in the fall and in the springtime. The formative experience is one of the many requirements for graduation at FSU. And so if you haven't met this requirement yet, UROP is a great way to do it. And then, just in thinking about other future endeavors, UROP, like I said, is a really an entryway into research at Florida State University. And it's a great way really to have like a launching point. So many of our students who end up really enjoying their research projects and working with their research mentors look for ways to try to continue working on those research projects or with those research mentors after they complete the UROP program, which is great. Others choose not to do that, but use it as a launching point to join other research projects. Having completed UROP successfully really gives them a leg up on joining other research projects on campus and makes their resume really stand out. And again, as we mentioned before, participating in UROP is also a great way to build your resume. If you're thinking about graduate school or you're looking into applying to different scholarships or fellowships before you graduate, I think one of the things I really think is a great thing about UROP is through working with your research mentor, you'll really get an opportunity to show who you are and the skills and the talents that you have through working on the research project. You'll be working with your research mentor for an entire academic year. So you're going to have a faculty member or a grad student or a postdoc who really can speak to who you are and the skills that you have. So when you're looking for folks on campus who can write you letters of recommendation for different scholarships or fellowships that you're thinking about applying to, or to graduate school or other things, a lot of times your research mentor can be someone that you'll feel really comfortable in asking, who can really speak to you and to your skills because they've spent, the better part of an academic year in working with you, which I think is great. And then also, as we touched on earlier, it's really a great way to build your communication skills, time management skills, problem solving, working with others in a lab or in another professional setting, whatever your research project, whatever kind of setting that it takes, and working in a team. And then it's also a great opportunity to get experience in creating a research poster, which if you're looking to be involved in research long term, that's something you're probably going to have to do several times throughout your research experience. So being able to get support on how to do that for the first time, I think is really great. And then also getting support and training and practice on how to deliver your poster presentation in front of a big audience at the union at the Undergraduate Research Symposium is a really great thing. Couple things I want to mention regarding conference presentations. So we do have some of our UROP students who end up participating in other things on campus while they're a UROP student. One of those is the Florida Undergraduate Research Conference, also known as FERC. I think we typically take around 50 FSU students each year to FERC, so that's something that you might consider doing at some point. There are other presentation opportunities outside of FSU that you might do with your research mentor. So that's a possibility. And whether you do FERC or something else, there are different ways to apply for funding through the CRE and also through SCIRC. And so that's something as a UROP student, we will be giving you all kinds of reminders throughout the year of different presentation options that you might want to participate in and how to find funding to support you so that you can go and not have it be a financial burden. So in wrapping up, we're gonna get ready to do our Q&A session now, but want to make sure that I point out a couple of things on the screen here. If you have any questions after today's session, you can reach out directly to me. Again, my name's Chris Ryan. My contact information is at the bottom of the screen there, kryan@fsu.edu. You can also email our full CRE team directly by using that address at the top of the screen there, the CRE-UROP@fsu.edu, and we will respond to you promptly if you have any questions about UROP or your transfer application, which again is due July the 1st. So let's go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have the ability to do so and you would like to just ask your question out loud, you can turn off your microphone and we'll be happy to answer your question. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can just type your question into the chat box and we can go from there. Questions?
If we get accepted to the program, would the 1 credit hour colloquium pass-fail class, would that interfere with when we can take other classes?
I can cover this one. So if you're selected to be part of UROP, you will get a confirmation survey and you have to fill that out. And then once that's filled out, we'll look at your schedule and place you in a class that doesn't interfere with your other classes.
Okay, thank you. Do you know approximately how long one would have to wait to find out if one got accepted, if one applied?
So the deadline for transfer students is July 1st. We usually turn those around pretty quickly, so usually mid to late July.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question, thank you. Anyone else have a question?
Hi.
Yeah, we got a question from in the classroom. Go ahead, Brittany.
I was wondering, how many applicants do y'all usually accept?
So Brittany wants to know how many applicants we typically accept into the program.
So we're constantly expanding. Transfer students, we honestly typically accept almost everybody. So we look at lots of different factors and, you know, if you're applying, make sure you put in an effort. I don't want to read a one sentence answer to those questions because it doesn't seem like you're putting in the effort that you would need to put into the program. So while there is a high acceptance rate of transfer students specifically, you do need to make sure you put in that effort so that we can see that you're excited and serious about this program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're looking, what are we looking at, Alicia, this year? Over 600 students in total? Is that? am I-
Yes, over 600 students total. Yeah.
For-
And we have over 1,000 applications.
Anybody else have a question? Anyone? All right, well, let me close the chat box and just leave this up on the screen here for a minute. So, again, if you hop off this session today and a question suddenly strikes you and you're like, man, I should have asked about X, Y, or Z, please feel free to either email me or you can email us at cre-urop@fsu.edu. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can with answers to your questions. But we really hope the session